Hello. I hope you're really well. It's super nice to be back with you. I had a little bit of a pause on my video making over the summer. My hope was that I was going to have a wonderful, restful summer, but it didn't quite work out like that. I had some horrible lurgy which threw me out for a couple of weeks, but I'm here, I'm better. And what I thought I would do in this video is really take you through a sketchbook tour. I filled up this giant sketchbook over the summer. The sketchbook that I started back in January, and I called it my book of joy and delight. And the reason I called it that is because I wanted to remind myself, to set an intention for myself, to be really cognizant and mindful that I want my sketchbook to be a place where I have fun, where I have joy and delight and wonder and awe, and I create the art that will kind of nurture my spirit and bring enjoyment and pleasure and fun into my life. And we're clearly living through a time that is difficult, challenging. A lot of the things happening in the world are sad and difficult, and I wanted my sketchbook and my sketchbook practice and my art making in that sketchbook to be a place of retreat, of safe haven, a place where I can have fun for the sake of having fun, to relish and enjoy the sensory process of making art, to dig into the colours and the marks and the materials that I love and enjoy, and really just have a corner of the world that is just for the joy and the delight of art making. And I think art making is joyful and delightful. You know, playing with materials, cutting and sticking, messing around with the things that I'm really interested in. For me, this sketchbook is a place to go to have fun. It's a place where I can prioritise my own enjoyment and make art for me and not have to show anyone if I don't want to, but I do want to. So I thought I'd take you on a bit of a tour of my sketchbook. And hopefully this little tour will also act as an invitation, as an encouragement, as a bit of a rallying call to get your own sketchbook out, to decide what you want your art making to feel like, and to create a little corner of your own universe where you can make that happen. So for me, I wanted it to be about joy and delight, and so I wrote it really large in the front of the sketchbook. So every time I open the sketchbook, it's just a little reminder to myself. It's like setting a very clear intention, a very clear direction of travel of what I want in this sketchbook. You know, often I think art making can deliver and support what we need emotionally, and I needed a little corner of joy and delight. And so that's what this sketchbook has been for me, and I hope it is joyful and delightful to look through too. So this is a big A3 sketchbook, so it means that double page spreads are A2. It's from a British brand called Daler Rowney, and I think it was about £18. This brand is really hard to get outside of the UK though, so if you're in America, I think you'll find this brand either hard or expensive to get. So I date my sketchbook, started it in January, and it takes about 6 months. It took about 6 months to fill up the sketchbook, and I really wanted to have more paint in this sketchbook, to be playful, experimental. This paint is acrylic paint. I try and use a matte acrylic paint. This is a paint from a brand called Sennelier. It's their abstract acrylic paint. Quite matte, so it means that the pages don't stick together. If you do get your pages sticking together, you might want to explore something like a Dorland wax that you can put over the top of finished pages with a rag just to stop them sticking. And I've just really been playful with materials, with using different colours. You know, I've been sticking things in. Here I added some extra pages. Got a demonstration on this page. So this sketchbook is full of all sorts of experiments, explorations, things that I'm likely to come back to. So I treat my sketchbook as a place where I develop ideas and also where I store them. So, you know, I really love this composition, and I'll probably include it in a painting at some point because it's safely stored in this sketchbook, and I often go back to my sketchbooks, re-look at them, flick through them. So a lot of these pages are done just with a simple pen, a Pentel pocket brush pen. You can usually tell where I've been when I was working in my sketchbook. If it's all drawing, then I was sat in front of the telly. If it's lots of paint and messy materials, then I've been up in my studio. Just, you know, some of the pages are a bit crazy. Really loving using a pencil. So this is a 9B pencil. Quite a few pages with a 9B pencil. I love the quality of the marks and the dark sort of smudginess. I very rarely will prime a page. I'll very rarely put any fixative on the page. I just want my sketchbook to be a place where I try things out. It's not pristine. So, you know, everything's smudged and I don't mind the smudges. Wax crayons, more wax crayons, more pencil, more pencil. This was some of the test pieces I did for my Still Life Lab class. And here I'm mixing acrylic paint with coloured pencil and making these sort of abstract still life based on vase and vessel shapes, messing around with different colours. It's a real place to explore, to try things out, to try out how different materials work together, how they interact together. Creating pages of shapes, abstract shapes, combining them. You know, there's lots of stuff in this sketchbook that I will revisit and re-look at. I really like these crazy trees, exploring different combinations of pattern and marks, and just seeing how things work together. Whew, that's bright. I think this was acrylic paint and wax crayon. More acrylic paint. And you know, this is quite a cheap sketchbook. The pages are about 160 GSM, but it takes quite a lot of acrylic paint. And then here I've been mixing acrylic paint with felt tip pen and different types of pen. Here I'm starting to do some preparation and some planning for a class that I'm working on, or a course that I'm working on, about being inspired by nature. So there's a whole series of pages where I'm just sort of thinking through doing, exploring different techniques, thinking what I'm going to include in the class. Again, acrylic paint. Look at those colours. Fun with colour. You know, the watchword with this sketchbook was joy and delight, and I really did have fun with this kind of paint, building up layers of paint. And this is acrylic paint and watercolour and some pencil, some coloured pencil. You know, I think a sketchbook is such a good place to take your materials for a really good test drive. See what works together, see what doesn't work together. Really discover the sensibilities of what you like when they're combined. And I'm really enjoying this kind of watercolour paint with a more definite acrylic paint. Whoosh! Look at that for some colour. And that's it, the end of the sketchbook. So it's got all sorts of stuff in it. It's colourful, it's bold, it's playful, and hopefully you think it's a little bit joyful. I definitely had a lot of fun playing in it, and I hope it inspires you to crack open your own art supplies and get your sketchbook out and see where the adventure takes you. How do you want your own art practice to feel to you? What emotional support can it give you? And for me it was joy and delight, and for you it might be something different. But I think even just defining that for ourselves and setting that as our intention and our course and our direction of travel is a really helpful thing to do. So that's it for this video. I wish you happy creating. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all your lovely kindness and support.